And we are back. Robert Craig, just an old man reading from his Bible. I'm the old man. This right here is the Bible I use. The only one I use, really. The Holy Bible. Well, I may have others of the same type. They're Holy Bibles too. And by that, of course, I mean that they are King James. So we had followed Paul through his arrest at the temple. The Roman government has taken custody of him. He made his defense from the staircase, and in that he gave them an account of what happened on the road to Damascus, his conversion, his return to Jerusalem 3 years later. And this is a good while before he ever ends up at Antioch. But he's informed that he's being sent far hence to the Gentiles. And then, after he makes his defense to the council, it doesn't go too well, and he's mobbed again, and they take him back into the castle. I'm not sure exactly what that is. I'm assuming it's the building of the Roman, it's their government building, or maybe it includes the prison, whatever. But the Lord appears to him and says, "Be of good cheer, Paul, for as thou hast testified to me in Jerusalem, so must thou bear witness also at Rome." And we start off in verse 12 here of chapter 23 of Acts. "And when it was day, certain of the Jews banded together." Now, when you see that word, the Jews, we're not talking about the disciples here. We're talking about unbelieving Jews, meaning they haven't believed the kingdom gospel. They've rejected the teaching of Jesus Christ, so they are still just run-of-the-mill Jews of the kind you would find there. But they banded together, certain of them, bound themselves under a curse, saying that they would neither eat nor drink till they had killed Paul. I wonder if they kept that oath. And there were more than 40 which had made this conspiracy. And they came to the chief priests and elders and said, "We've bound ourselves under a great curse, that we will eat nothing until we have slain Paul. Now therefore, ye with the council signify to the chief captain that he bring him down unto you tomorrow, as though you would inquire something more perfectly concerning him. And we, or ever he come near, are ready to kill him." And when Paul's sister's son heard of their lying in wait, he went and entered into the castle and told Paul. This, I believe, is the first mention where we learn that Paul has a sister and he has a nephew. But he has picked up on this. He's kept his ears open. He goes into the building where Saul is being held. He tells Paul about what he's discovered. In verse 17, "Then Paul called one of the centurions unto him and said, Bring this young man unto the chief captain, for he hath a certain thing to tell him." Notice the discretion here. Verse 18, "So he took him and brought him to the chief captain and said, Paul the prisoner called me unto him and prayed me to bring this young man unto thee, who hath something to say unto thee. Then the chief captain took him by the hand and went with him aside privately and asked him, What is that thou hast to tell me? And he said, The Jews have agreed to desire thee thou wouldest bring down Paul tomorrow into the council, as though they would inquire somewhat of him more perfectly. But do not thou yield unto them, for there lie in wait for him more than 40 men, which have bound themselves with an oath that they will neither eat nor drink till they have killed him. And now are they ready, looking for a promise from thee. So the chief captain let the young man depart, and charged him, See thou tell no man that thou hast showed these things to me. And he called unto him 2 centurions, saying, Make ready 200 soldiers to go to Caesarea, and horsemen 70, and spearmen 200, at the 3rd hour of the night. If I'm not mistaken, that means 9 p.m. And provide them beasts, that they may set Paul on, and bring him safe unto Felix, the governor. And he wrote a letter after this manner: Claudius Lysias, unto the most excellent governor Felix, sendeth greeting. This man was taken of the Jews, and should have been killed of them. Then came I with an army and rescued him, having understood that he was a Roman. You notice the spin he's putting on this description of events here. He's basically making himself look good when some of these things were done in hindsight, or realized in hindsight. Verse 28, And when I would have known the cause wherefore they accused him, I brought him forth to their council, whom I perceived to be accused of questions of their law, but to have nothing laid to his charge, worthy of death or of bonds. In other words, he's telling the governor, this man hasn't broken our law, Roman law. This is an internal squabble among the Jews. They've got a beef against him, and it's concerning their law. He's making it clear to Felix that Rome really has no, what's the word I'm looking for? They don't have an interest in the outcome of this case, one way or the other. But he just wants the law to be followed here. Verse 30, And when it was told me how that the Jews laid wait for the man, I sent straightway to thee, and gave commandment to his accusers also to say before thee what they had against him. Farewell. Then the soldiers, as it was commanded them, took Paul and brought him by night to Antipatris. On the morrow they left the horsemen to go with him. In other words, the footmen, the spearmen, turned back at that point. They figured they'd escorted him far enough away from Jerusalem that now they could just leave it with the soldiers. Well, let's see, the horsemen, 70. That would be 70 men on horses. So they left the horsemen to go with him, who, when they came to Caesarea and delivered the epistle to the governor, presented Paul also before him. And when the governor had read the letter, he asked of what province he was. When he understood that he was of Cilicia, I will hear thee, said he, when thine accusers are also come. And he commanded him to be kept in Herod's judgment hall. So that covers the plot to kill Paul and his change of venue, I think is what we would call it today. So I think this is a good stopping point, because we get to Paul's hearing before Felix, and we will see how that comes out. For now, though, let's just say, may the Lord bless this reading of His Holy Scripture. And next time we will pick up right where we left off, and I hope you'll join me then.